Hello everyone and welcome back to Navis Nobilite. I am Captain Zelnick, and today's tutorial video we will be going over blast markers, what they are, how they affect you, will it affect your credit score? All of these little questions will hopefully be answered within the confines of this video, but it's very important that you read the rules section of the main rulebook with absolute detail and authority before you start playing the game, because blast markers affect just about every element of the game. Blast markers represent, generally speaking, an explosion. Now, in space, things have a tendency of continuing to remain hot and dangerous instead of being nice enough to go away. They can be fields of debris with unexploded munitions within them. They can be hot ionized gases. They can be the wreckage of destroyed ships. It can be any number of things that if a unshielded ship just happens to fly on through, can cause some severe damage. So, the most common way that blast markers are generated on the board is during the shooting phase, during direct fire against an enemy vessel. Also, if a Nova cannon happens to miss a target, it leaves a blast marker at the center of the Nova cannon template itself. So, generally speaking, the way that the blast marker affects the board is it creates an area, or generally speaking, a series of areas that can cause negative effects to your ship. For example, if you are desiring to shoot through a blast marker at another ship, this will cause a right column shift on the gunnery table, though lances are unaffected. Also, if you try to move through a blast marker, if at any point your base touches a blast marker in that path, so long as you are on that blast marker, your shields are reduced by 1 and your speed is reduced by 5 centimeters. Generally speaking, it's unpleasant to move through them. And if you happen to land on one at the end of your movement, you are in for a world of hurt if the enemy takes advantage of it. Now, when it comes to the reduction of the shields, one blast marker per shield reduction. So yes, if you land, say, on 2 blast markers, you are down 2 shields. You simply don't regenerate them while the blast markers are on your base. In order to regenerate your shields, you must move off of the blast markers. So, at the beginning of a round, if you are sitting on 2 blast markers because you were shot, your shields will only come up if you land in a place with no blast markers on your base. All right? Also, if for whatever reason your shields are down, and I mean permanently down, critical damage, shields down, it's number 10 on the critical hits table, and you fly through a blast marker, you are again reduced by 5 centimeters for movement, but you must roll a d6, and on a roll of a 6 you will take another hit because something sharp or explosive hit your ship and then detonated or skewered your main engineer or pilot. As we all know, we have to run things through the wash. Anyway, other things to remember. If you are shooting through a blast marker and there are multiple blast markers along that path, you only ever apply the column shift once. A special note on gas clouds. Gas clouds are, as it says in the book, giant blast markers. They have all the same rules, they have all the same effects. This means if you are shooting through say this is a gas cloud and you have a blast marker in between, there is only one reduction of 5 centimeters. Also, there's only one right column shift. My apologies. And if you are moving through both, you only reduce your speed by 5 centimeters. You do not reduce it by 10. Those two effects are not cumulative. The only cumulative effect for blast markers on your ship is if there are multiple blast markers on your base, and this will reduce your shield by the number of blast markers touching you. So, blast markers are, generally speaking, the most irritating element of the game because they are the things you have to maneuver around or brave if you want to go in for the perfect kill shot, but they will expose your ships to damage. Now, the other thing that everyone tends to forget, especially me, is at the end phase, when everything else is done, you roll a d6. and then you remove that many blast markers from the board so long as they are not touching a ship's base. So for example, say I have all of these touching that base, and I roll 5 on my d6, I will only be able to remove these 3 because these are all touching a base. In effect, blast markers that are not affecting any ship are only the only ones that can be removed. Now, in regards to Eldar, Eldar do not have shields, they have hollow fields. Anytime they move through a blast marker, they must roll a d6 in order to see if they take damage from that blast marker. They are also still affected by movement through the blast marker, which means they are minus 5 centimeters to whatever movement they have to go. There are very few things in the game that ignore the effects of blast markers. One example are the Demiurge. There are a number of upgrades that can come to the Adeptus Mechanicus fleet that can permit you to ignore most of the effects of blast markers. Another effect of blast markers. Say your ship is suffering from critical damage and you desire to repair it. If a blast marker is on your base, you are halving your total repair roll. So if this ship still has 8 hits, but I have to do a critical hit repair and I have a blast marker on my base, I am rolling 4 dice instead of 8. This is because the ship is under fire, and the repair crews are not as efficient when the ship is under fire. Also, the effect of blast markers applies to boarding actions. If I am a ship that is being boarded, or I am the boarding ship, and I have a blast marker on my base, that is a +1 benefit to my opponent. So be very careful when you initiate boarding actions, or if you think you are going to be boarded. There are a lot of other effects that go into boarding. Oh, one other thing that goes into blast markers. If I have a blast marker on my base, my leadership is counted as -1. Basically because there's a lot of interference going on with highly ionized gases, and oh yeah, I'm being shot at. It's a little bit harder to control people when I'm being shot at. So, there are a lot of rules that go into blast markers and how they affect the game. It is critically important that you read the rules section regarding blast markers and read all of the rules for your fleet because blast markers affect everybody. No matter what race you are, blast markers will, in some way, make your life a living hell. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll talk to you all again soon.